That's called Look.
Mono.
Great. Whoever was doing that was very nice.
I'm going to take this down so you can hear me better. You're totally on your own. You're adults. If you've been vaccinated and you want to be without masks, I'm not going to tell anybody. Okay, you are part of a historic occasion here. We have some new equipment that will help us do live streaming in a little while. That camera there that's pointing here. And most of it is using our sound system that we have. And we have 3 engineers working, but Nina and Pete and Carl. And we're recording this. It's not going out live, so it's okay. But they're going to take the one Thursday night and this one, and somebody is, and put them together because the questions will probably be different and things like that. And anyway, make it something we can have on the website or the YouTube. You know, if somebody wants to know a little bit about the organ, I'll just send them the link. So this is a special occasion, in my opinion. Well, let me start with the beginning of the story of how we ended up here. When I came here to work, I realized that there were some buttons here that are called pistons that we're going to set ahead of time to make the stops, that's these things, come on, so that you don't have to go like this, you know. So you push one button and everything happens. The organ was built in 1982, and that system by 2012, when I started here, was wearing out, I guess is the best way to put it. And so I forewarned trustees and people who have to deal with finances, and I said, I predict that in the next 5 to 10 years, that will need to be replaced. And that was a guess, let me tell you. I don't have a magic ball or anything. I was so right. It was like 7, I think. I think I did it just about right. And so part of our COVID experience, my COVID experience, was the organ sort of had COVID. The week before Palm Sunday, I came in, and what had been happening over time was you would, I don't know, you can't all see everything at one time, but if I push a button, the stops come out pretty fast, right? Okay, they were going, and every once in a while I'd find another one that wasn't moving at all. I mean, that's what was happening. And so, of course, the week before Palm Sundays, when it all decided to be completely unreliable, so we got it temporarily fixed. And Dean Christian, who has maintained this organ for years, and who I've known for even more years than that, told me after they did it, he says, this is the last time we're piecing this thing back together. He says, it's a waste of the church's money and our time. I mean, and that was $500 to get it working. And about 2 weeks after Easter, it stopped again. So that was it. So thanks to a lot of support from a lot of people in this church, some of whom are sitting here, we have this new system for $98,000.
Hooray.
So you may ask, what did we get for $98,000? The organ doesn't look any different. There is one difference, and that is that there used to be a clock right there where that is. Otherwise, it looks the same. Wait, we have Mr. Smarty here. Yes, he knows. Oh, he did. Okay. So, well, I got my show and tell here. So, what really this comes to is there, instead of this, which
Oh my God.
ran from the back of the console into a hole right there, all the way up to there, and there was enough of this stored down in the basement that it could be moved all the way out to the center in front of the communion table for recitals, and boy, was it a job to move it. So most of
But
the
technically, it goes down into the boiler room, and there is a wooden trough.
oh yeah,
And that, well, it was overhead.
Yeah.
A wooden trough, and when Michael said that there was enough to move the organ console there, it was all stored in the ceiling of the boiler room down there.
so you had to pull,
Pull it out.
pull. And what's amazing, I should show you this. There are all these wires, and this is before the days of color coding. All the wires are white. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how. But guess what? What we have now is a cord like this.
Wow.
That goes right, right now, we can plug it in two places. It's under this piece of carpet that goes into the plug that's there, so we can put it anywhere between here and the center, and then there's a plug right behind where the organ usually sits, so we can plug it there. And all we have to do, the cable has a total of 3 cords in it, this one plus some power cords, and boy, is it nice.
And did you move that too?
We have, well, Carl had to go find this for me because I needed one just to hold up to show you. I can describe it, but it has more.
Is that like just a USB cord?
It's just a regular old computer cord, Ethernet cord.
Yeah.
I'm not a computer.
And then you moved this whole.
The console
Then-
is on wheels.
It's always
Oh, okay.
It's always been on wheels. I mean, but one of the
I'll
wheels
leave
doesn't
it.
roll very well. So you have to kind of shimmy it,
It's
around.
like a refrigerator.
Yeah, but
A big one.
Yeah, a very big one.
And they took out a lot of the stuff the whole inside, the reason this console is so deep is this was totally full of mechanical operating.
Spin it around for us.
Oh, right. It was all, this was a mechanical system. Mostly the mechanics of it there are little magnets behind each of these, and they push it out and in. But you had all kinds of push-pull and everything else going on there. So about half of that was removed, so that lightens the weight a little bit. But some of the stuff that wasn't in the way, they just left it in. But so that explains what the system's about. We call it an operating system. That's not a very great term, but that's what it does.
So basically, is there anything in the box behind?
Oh yeah, there's a computer, massive computer thing. And there's one exactly like it up in the pipes.
Oh, and that was what was playing when you came in?
Yes. So the reason that we got the system was so we could have the preset pistons. But along with it, this is standard fare these days. It's not. This is not a Rolls Royce. I mean, it's probably a Pontiac or Cadillac, but all this stuff comes standard now. You get, whereas we had one set of 12 pistons that operated the whole organ. There are others that will just operate one manual and specific things. We had 12 total. Now, each organist who has their name, you can put your name in the little, here's the little thing where you push the buttons for it. Each organist gets 1,200 pistons. So when I'm working on a piece, and it's got 100 levels, and I can just say I'm, level 56, whatever, and write it in my music. And then the next time I come back to play that piece, I hit level 56 in my button, and I don't have to go through all of that.
All the pistons are properly activated.
Yeah, and everything works.
And if Pauline or the organist were going to play in your place, she came in and identified herself in that little drawer?
We've got one that's just
Do you
called.
have a different
Oh yeah.
configuration with
And
Mr.
we have
56?
one that's called guest.
Okay.
That is the one that when you turn the organ on, that one is the one that automatically comes on. And that way, somebody's not going to mess up mine. I mean, if they know how to operate it, they could. But, and then this is what is especially nice if you're in a church that either has multiple organists or where other people practice. So each person gets their own level, and they can just leave their stuff, and then when they come back, it's their.
Yeah, a button for Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
Oh, I can actually do that. It's in there. So that's what that does.
Mike,
Yes.
does the company offer presets, or do you have to?
No.
You have to make
That's
your
my job.
own decisions about what?
That's what I went to school for.
Did you have to go to some extensive training to figure out how to use this?
I'm not a really good computer person, so I guess the answer should be yes.
Should be, but what happened? I mean, it seems like you're playing it.
You know, it's been working now for what, 6 or so months.
Yeah,
And so I've been using it a lot. And the guys who installed it were wonderful when they were here working and training me.
okay.
I have a manual that I can't begin to read. You know what computer manuals are like, unless you're. Can't get it out of the drawer either. Can't even get it out of the drawer.
So Mike, do I understand this, that this was a learning curve on your part?
It certainly was.
Yes, I'll bet.
Partly self-taught, partly assisted, and.
Yeah, and as I've said many times during COVID, I have been led into the 21st century kicking and screaming
yeah.
all the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a techno person, but I've had to learn it, and it's been interesting. I mean, the stuff we managed to come up with for worship just continually surprises me every week. I mean, really, we all do our part, and then look at it on Sunday, and oh wow, look at that.
Yeah,
you know,
great.
it all
It sounds great.
gels.
Yeah.
So both musically and visually. Well, anyway, I'm getting off subject. So $98,000 for a cable. Okay, but the theory is the best way I've explained it over and over for people who will come in expecting the organ to look different. I say, well, you ever look at the transmission on your car? Well, no. Okay, this is the transmission on the organ. If it works, you don't even know it's there. If it doesn't work, you ain't going to know. And that's exactly what this system is. It's just, without it, you wouldn't be anywhere. Okay, now some basics. For some of you may know, I know a lot of you do, but some words that I need to throw out that are just organ names. As I said, these things here are called stops. Each stop brings on a set of pipes that has a different tone quality. Where am I on? And about 76 or 7 more. There are 88 ranks, that's the next word, of pipes. A rank is a set of pipes that are all of the same tone quality. In other words, if you can go from the bottom to the top of the keyboard, and it's all like that. So there are 88 sets of pipes. Most of the 4 manuals, the keyboards you play with your hands, contain 61 notes each. The pedals contain 32 notes each. But some of the pedal things are extended. So to get a nice round number of how many pipes there are in the organ, 5,300 is about right.
I was going to say 55.
You're close. That's a good guess.
I made up a quiz for the church one
That's
time, and one of the
definitely
questions
close
was,
enough. You may be
how-
closer to right.
how many pipes in the organ?
about-
And I went to ask, who was the secretary for many, many years?
Oh, Judy.
I said, ask Judy,
Schoenbaum Wood.
do you know how many pipes are in the organ? And she said, I don't know and I don't care.
Yeah,
And I also
yeah.
said, do you know where I might find out? And she said, not a clue.
Oh, well, I can actually tally it up, but I just decided not to be that specific. But it's roughly 53, 55 may be right. Okay, the longest pipe is 32 feet long, and you feel it more than you hear
Wow, yes.
it. If I go up an octave higher,
Michael, just as an interruption for those of you who haven't been up in the organ pipe loft,
Oh, haven't we all been there several times?
the pipe that you just played is one of those huge wooden black boxes against the back wall. They're hardly visible from here, but,
yeah, I'm going to get to that.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. So this pipe, this one is an octave higher. So this one, the lowest one, is actually 16 cycles per second, which is our lowest level of human hearing is about 20. So it's really below that. But each pipe, as does each string or any musical, any sound, has not only its base foundation pitch, but it also, there are harmonics that are an octave higher and higher and higher and higher. So what you're actually hearing on that is more of the harmonics than the actual foundation pitch. But when you get into higher notes, the start lobe, the thing there, then they get to be in the level where your hearing is used to hearing. And then they go all the way up to the limits of human hearing. And I guess that's it.
I heard the first one.
Oh, no, that's the
There-
highest one,
there's
because
one.
they break back an octave because you
I
think
did
you-
that at Costco 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he just got new hearing aids.
Did you hear that?
I heard it.
I heard what you did before.
Yeah.
Okay, do it now. I'm not sure
Well,
if I
let me go
heard.
from down here.
I'm not hearing that.
Somewhere along there. Yeah. So the way pipe organ sound is constructed is a pipe that is the pitch of piano pitch, let's say. The lowest note, that pipe is 8 feet long. Okay. The pipe that's an octave higher is 4 feet long. The next octave is 2 feet long. The next one is 1 foot, 6 inches, 3 inches. So and then the pedal notes go down to 2 octaves below that. So you have 16 foot, which is an octave below what you would hear on the piano. And then you have 32 at the bottom. And the way you get the variety of sounds is by mixing those together. So, for instance, here's an 8 foot.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
About when you said in our organ it's in a box.
It is the box.
So are there organs that would have a pipe that's 32 feet?
We do. We do.
We do, okay.
It's like this, but 32 feet long. Well, actually, it doesn't have a stopper. It's more like this. Okay. But 32 feet long. And it takes a lot of air. But the air blows in and it blows across this lip. This is called a mouth, and it's got a lip and all that. And it's sort of like flute. You know, you do a lot of it with your mouth, but it's the same idea. You're making an air column vibrate. So
So where does the air come from?
there is a giant blower out there, and I'm going to have you walk by it. The door is open, and you'll hear it and see it.
But 15 men are blowing.
Huh?
15 men are back there blowing.
Right,
Yes.
right, right.
Now, in the olden days, they made choir boys pump the organ. Or the church custodian.
Yeah.
You know. And organs were not this big in general. And this does with electricity what many humans did years ago. That's another story of different kinds of organs. But anyway, let me stay on my order here, or I'll lose it. Stops, pistons, I told you about brakes. Okay. The stops, okay, they're different pitches. So I was going to show you an octave. Here's middle C, and here's with the 4 foot, an octave higher, 2 foot, an octave higher than that. And then when it gets above that, you get different combinations that mix different overtones. Because if you went from down here with those little pipes, it would be out of hearing range. So the stops, the high pitched ones, kind of double back. So you get a consistency, but and it's all based on overtones. So physics 101, I think. There are 4 families of stops. Though some of them sound like flutes, they're called flutes. Oops, sorry. And some of the flutes, that's what these pipes are. Some of the flutes are open on the end, that's just to adjust the tone a little bit, but the pitch is there. Some of the stops have stoppers, some of the pipes have stoppers in them, which makes the pipe sound an octave lower than what it normally would. So we have some of those, and the stop versus open flutes sound a little bit different. This one is stopped. This one's open. Just a little bit different tone quality. And then that's one family. The next family is principals. Principals. And they are the principal sound of the organ. That sound, that doesn't, it's not imitating anything else. It's not like a reed or a flute. And then there are reeds, of which there are many. That one's called a crumb horn, which is kind of like a Renaissance clarinet. Lots of trumpets, and an oboe, and a bassoon. And then we get to the pedal reeds, and they're the fun ones. Big trumpet, octave lower, and then a 32-foot bombard.
A big old frog.
That's the one the 4-year-olds like that.
Yes, of course.
Larry, remember, those were Skinner pipes, I think.
Yes, the 2 32-foot ranks, the soft one that I played first and that one, are both from the previous organ. And to my knowledge, they didn't take them out. They just left them there. Did they take them back to the factory? I would
Did not.
hope not.
The revoicing, some of it was 4-inch diameter, looked like pipe.
Uh-huh.
They did a whole revoicing
Yeah.
in place.
So those were, that probably saved the church a couple $100,000 to have those that they could reuse from the old organ.
Wow.
Because they're the most expensive pipes anyway, because they have so much metal or wood, whichever they are. By the way, I've got wooden pipes to demonstrate. There are a lot more metal pipes. There are only a few wooden stops, but organ stops.
And are the metal ones for a certain sound? Do they sound metallic and like the brass?
No. The trumpets,
The Ashimans?
those are brassy sounding, but the very center of the organ is this set of pipes. And they're just principals.
Is the Zimmerstern still up there?
Oh, absolutely. We actually moved it. It was kind of in a place where it really wasn't
What is it?
projecting very well.
Can you hear it?
What is it?
It's
It's
a-
a Zimmerstern.
Yeah, there are 5 little
Zimbalstern.
bells and a thing that hits them. Yeah.
When the snow comes down.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a magical effect.
Yeah, it goes with things like
Is
that.
that, I think, well, we'll have to have a look at a Zimmerstern sometime.
I'm not even sure where they put it. I think it's up higher. It was kind of buried, but I don't know. But
It's coming from over there.
that was added later. That didn't come with the original order.
Oh, that was in that.
So let's see, we've got stops, pistons, ranks. Oh, the other thing is all of these buttons up here, these are called couplers. These couplers. Couple.
Couple, like as-
single and a couple.
Train cars, couple.
Which would be what?
And so, what they do, you've got 4 manuals, okay? Four, let's just say 4 manuals, which your hands can play. And each manual has its own set of stops. And it's like a really a complete organ itself. Each manual has principals, flutes, I haven't gotten the strings yet, but reeds, and then the next manual has principals, flutes, reeds, and so forth. So each manual is complete in itself. But then you can couple them together. So if you have these stops here, and you also want to play here, you push this button. Okay? And if you want these stops to also play here, that, if you want all 3 of them together, the 4th manual, until we got this new toy for me to play with, only had 1 stop on it, which is the big trumpet. Now we've enlarged that and added 3 new stops and 4 new couplers, and no, actually, it really amounts to 5 new stops, and I'll explain those later when I'm sitting. It's hard to explain those standing up. There's one more family of stops I didn't mention, and that's strings. And they sound like this. Sound like strings. There's two. This actually sounds like flutes, but it has the same effect. And the way that works is you're actually playing 2 pipes for each note. One pipe is tuned normal. The other is tuned sharp. You put them together, and you get what is really out of tune. But if you get it just right, it sounds like vibrato on your fiddle. So those are strings. Okay. I'm moving on here. Well, I'm trying to pick up my pace from last night. Okay. It's time to put the bench in.
Michael, one more question.
Yeah.
Stop button, the chrome.
Oh, that's what everybody was fascinated with last night. Yes, these do exactly the same things these do. Like if I push number, what was that, 3? There. It's the same thing as number 3 up here.
Okay.
And that way, if you have to make a change and both hands are busy but you've got a foot, you can do that. If both feet are busy and you can get your thumb, you don't even have to have your whole hand, but at least use one that's right at your thumb and then just push that.
The last upper row.
And then the upper row, these are duplicates of couplers. So if you can't,
It's a foot coupler.
yeah, if you can hit them there instead of pushing them here. And then the two middle pedals, I'm going to sit down for this one because it's easier to do. And I'm lifting so I don't scratch the floor. This one on the left is called a swell pedal. And if you look up right there, you'll see
Oh,
those
yeah, it's
louvers
opening and
close
closing.
open. So they make the sound swell. Oops, what am I doing? I'm on the wrong.
Killed it.
It broke.
Oh, I moved on. I'm on the wrong. I switched channels. There we go. Yeah, that's how I went. Okay. So I can, when the box is closed,
Wow.
so that's how you make crescendos and windows,
It's like the crescendo range.
louders and softers. There's only one division, one manual that does that. If I were designing the organ myself, I would have had two, but that's the way it is. There are a couple stops that, for the sake of accompanying, would be nice to have in a box like that so you can control the volume. Otherwise, they're the same. So that's the left pedal. It's just for that swell box. The right pedal I use almost never, but what it does is it adds stops, but without the knobs coming out. So for nothing,
It's a
so
gas pedal.
that's like if you can't do it any other way and you just have to put on some more noise, you can just hit that. Okay? I rarely use it. On an organ this size, especially with all these pistons, you don't need it, but it's just, again, kind of a standard fare thing that organs have. Okay, now let me show you some new things. The organ was built with, as I said, only the trumpet stop up on the fourth manual. But there are 10 blank knobs here. And the idea was, back in the previous organ, there were pipes back in the, see where that looks like a black window? Mm-hmm. That's really a pipe chamber. And there were pipes in there. It's been boarded up now because of cold air. But that's the tower. And there was a tower division on the old Skinner. And also most of you, I think, know, maybe you don't. Originally, that whole center section there was not there. That's where the choir sat.
Right, yeah.
That's
The
right.
old organ.
Choir.
The choir. The old organ was in this side and that side. And the person who designed that to match all the rest of the woodwork and actually did it all, I think, was Hank Bodie. Right? That is his masterpiece of
Wow.
carpentry and everything else. So I didn't know until last night.
All the wood was from up there someplace.
Yeah.
Recut, re-put.
But yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know until last night that when the organ was installed, all that was just open. It must have looked horrible. I mean, unless they hung curtains over it or something. It was just open. And it's not pretty in there. You know, it's not designed to be seen by anybody but the organ tuner. So I didn't realize that. So that got added later. So that's Hank's handiwork. Well, anyway, the organ that was put in after the fire was actually, at the time it was put in, the largest church organ in Chicago. And then after it had been in for a while, I don't know what year, they added that tower division too, so that made it even bigger. But even so, it was not as big as this organ is. And it was kind of shoved back in the walls, I think, to where the sound. The reason most people did antiphonals or that kind of organ was to help with the congregational singing. If you've processed with the choir, you know that there are these weird delays, and if you have a full congregation, they're never singing together. It's a wonderful sound. I mean, the thrill of the sound is fantastic. But, you know, the front people are more with the organ, and as you go farther back, they're behind. And that's just, yeah, it's like a round almost. Yeah.
A round.
Yeah.
No, 'cause they're behind.
So the antiphonal is to help that. If you've been at Grace Church, 2 blocks away, they have that. And that organ is a Casavant also, but from 1910 or something. And very much buried in the walls. I mean, it's a huge organ, but so much of the sound stays up in the front. And so they have the antiphonal, which you use to hold the singing together. So anyway, so we got these 10 buttons just sitting here doing nothing. So for absolutely free, we got new stops.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. Send in your 1995 and you'll get, okay. The guy who put the system in for me, came up with these ideas, and they're wonderful. There's a stop in the positee, or the lower manual. I'm not going to get into those things. Which is a nice little reed stop. But it's a 16-foot stop, meaning that it plays an octave lower than the note you play. I mean, it sounds an octave lower. So when you play middle C, you normally get that note. This stop gives you that note. So we just added it up here. So I can play it up here at the other pitch. Now, so we added a stop. We didn't add any more pipes. But so that's one. Two, there's a lovely quiet flute, especially with the box. Up there in the swells. There's, again, it's 16-foot pitch lower, and he put it up here at 8-foot pitch. So if I play C here, it sounds that. If I play C here, it's an octave higher, which is where it ought to be. So one of the things the organ doesn't have much of is quiet stops. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but there's not an abundance of quiet sounds, especially for accompanying the choir and things like that. So this gives us a new, softer flute stop for that. And then in the pedal, there is a flute stop that starts here. And then it keeps going. Which goes from here to here on from here to here when you put it at 8-foot pitch. And so we got that here, which is another nice little soft flute. That was only a bit.
Keep all that straight.
Huh?
How do you keep all that straight?
Oh, this has
You
been
went
my
to
life since I was 12 years old. So I know all this. And because you would run out of pipes, he wired it in so it goes into other pipes where the pipes run out. It's genius. And then we added some couplers. It's called a swell to swell 4-foot, but oops, that's the symbol stuff. These aren't labeled, I just added them. gives you plays the same notes an octave higher automatically. So it gives you just a different sound versus it's just one more sound, one more potato in the pot, sort of. Yeah.
Michael, when you sit down with the score in front of you, does it tell you which stops or?
It depends a lot on the composer and the period. The more modern it is, the more information you get. Bach gives you very little information about specific stops. He may use a phrase that literally means full organ. And everybody knew what that was. And he may say that the piece is for 2 manuals and pedal, which means that you're going to play one hand on one manual and one on another, and then a pedal part separate, rather than both hands on the same manual. So he gives you a lot of directions, but not specific stops. And there's enough standardization with organ stops throughout the world and throughout the last 500 years that organists kind of know what it means. I mean, there have always been flute stops, there have always been principals. They're called montre in French, they're called principal in German, they're called diapason in England. But we know what it is.
If you and 3 other organists sat down to say that play the same piece of music, would there be one sound or?
It would be pretty close.
Sounds?
It would be
very
in the character,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, speaking of sound, Casavant is kind of French-based in Canada,
Very.
right? And
Quebec.
so this instrument, I always heard, had kind of the French
It's very
sound.
French.
And you love to play French music, but now what makes this sound French over the German kind of organ?
It's like, it's almost like if you had a Steinway piano and a Mason and Hamlin and a Chickering from the good, 20s and 30s, and Baldwin from up into the 50s.
Yamaha.
Okay, Yamaha, and put them all in a room. You could tell the difference, and yet, they're all pianos. They all do the same thing, but there's different color to the sound. Is more of what it is.
Is it based on the materials and the wood?
Yeah, and the voicing, pipes. The sound of the pipe depends on the kind of material it's made of. Wood, tin, a lead and tin compound, which is used a lot. That's mostly it. But you can get all kinds of variations there. The length affects the pitch. So any C is going to be the same length. Okay. But the harmonics, the sound has, whether it's kind of thin or fat, literally, if the pipe is wider, it gives a fatter sound.
So does
German organs tend, no, the English are the fattest.
Oh, they're
The English cathedral organs are just, that's the sound I sort of imitate on the last verse of hymns, where the floor rattles and all that. I love English style hymn playing. The French organs are much heavier on the reed stops, like this. I mean, this is the best. These are about as Frenchy as you can ever get on the reeds.
So Michael,
That's for Easter Sunday.
so does the organ, for example, in Notre Dame, have a French voice?
Oh, yeah.
It's a French voice.
Oh, yes.
And the organs in Westminster or St. Paul's
Very,
are
very
mainly
English. And see, we're a mix of all that. And there have been times when the trend or the fad or whatever goes one way and then kind of switches back. In the 60s and 70s, it was very much on the German side, and then it sort of went French. We have gotten to where we're doing a much better job of making an American, more eclectic instrument that will kind of do everything. And this one will, but it's definitely French. If you look at the names of all the stops, they're all French. So,
Let me ask you a question. Can you state how many distinct sounds can be made by this instrument?
totally infinite.
Infinite, yeah.
Because you've got 88 different sets of pipes. Do a, what do you call it? One times, like factor, yeah. However many 88 can be, times 87, times 86, times 85. Do that for, yeah. But now you probably wouldn't want to hear all those.
Not in one day. anyway.
No, well, you learn what sounds good together and what doesn't. And when I go into sub at a church, it's often interesting to see how horrendous. People who, the piano organist, in Mikado, I got him on the list. I got him on the list. The piano organist, I got him on the list. That's my favorite line in the whole opera. It's a pianist who knows nothing about the organ, but they've been forced to play it against their will, probably. And so they just don't know what to do, so they just push stuff down. And sometimes I actually change some of them.
Now, another question.
Yeah.
How many companies make instruments like this in North America?
There are maybe 5 or 6 large companies that, I can name them: Reuter, Schatz. Quimby is a newer company there in St. Louis, I think. There's one in Indianapolis, of course, and Casavant's in Canada. But they're, half dozen or so.
And how long would it take if a church or an auditorium or someplace who wants an organ of this magnitude?
Of this size, probably 2 years, a year or two. Depends on how busy they are with other instruments.
Yeah.
I remember when Schatz redid the Rockefeller organ about 10 years ago, and I was actually down in Orville, Ohio, and was in their shop. They don't call it a factory, their shop. And found out a lot of stuff about that was interesting information. But I think it took them about 2 years. And Rockefeller, of course, is bigger than this, but not a lot. Well, yeah, it is. But anyway,
Do we still have chimes stuck in the corner somewhere?
yeah, they're sitting up there in the corner. They don't work. They were never wired. One point we tried to, the mechanism to make them work was about $3,000 or $4,000, and at the time we didn't have it. So.
Is there controls from here that could work the chimes if we ever got?
Yeah, sure. If we got them, sure. That's easy now.
Where would you, I've seen the chimes
Yeah.
stored up there. Where would they be mounted though?
Wherever there's a place to put it. You just find a place.
When this organ is tuned, first of all, with these pipes and they're fixed, what goes out of tune?
Hold on, I'll be glad to show you. In the pipes that have stoppers in them, you just tune it with the stopper. The thing about tuning is you're changing the column of air, the length of the column.
Right.
So we push the stopper down to make it higher and pull it out to make it lower.
All those cylindrical.
And then on those cylindrical things, you tap them very gently and
They have caps on the top.
no, you tap like with the, they slide up and down. They're like sleeves around the top of the pipe. Those pipes, once they're in, they really don't need to be tuned much unless somebody bumps one. But it's the little, they're the ones that have to be tuned a lot are the little tiny ones. And the ones that have to be tuned the most are the reed pipes. This was just tuned a couple weeks ago, and we like to tune it when the building is 68 degrees, and it's 63. But the heat won't come on unless it's below something, 50 or 48 or something outside. The heating system.
In the room?
Oh, I don't know, for the church.
For the church, yes.
Right.
So there was no way to warm it up to 68, but they could do it, and the timing was right in every way. I said, well, just do it. Well, today it is 75 in here, and the humidity is 42%. And so we have things already like, here's one C, and they slip and slide with the change. That's the worst one, and it happens to be middle C. But most of them are fine.
Yeah.
But there are some that are just a little more finicky than others. But it's the reeds that are just a little more sensitive.
And do you have to make adjustments then to your,
I just don't use stops that have nasty notes on them.
so you know if they're...
But I can, if I'm playing a piece that maybe has only one C in the whole piece and it goes by fast, I'll use it anyway. But if it's a piece in middle C and it's slow, in the key of C and it's slow, I'll just not use that stop. I got 70 some words.
So Michael, because the temperature extremes in this building are often and extreme, what does that do? Does that mean the organ has to be tuned more frequently, less frequently, or is it kind of all
We
around
basically
the clock?
tune it twice a year. And I aim it for this time of year when it's between seasons and then in the fall. I wait until the heat comes on in the fall because then it's easier to control it once it's on and steady. But this building, the walls are so thick. Unless it gets really hot, like in July or August, and the heat gets in here, it's pretty steady. But once the heat's in, it never goes away. Okay. I wanted to tell you about a book that is called Pipe Organs of Chicago. And it was written by, or put together by, Dennis Northway, who was for Grace for about 25 years. And I'm sure you know Stephen Schnurr. You know Stephen? He and Dennis did this book. It's 2 volumes, and we are in volume 1, and with very nice pictures. 197.
Are there other Casavant organs in Chicago?
Lots and lots and lots. So there we are. We get 3 pages, and then here's the other 2. And so what I did, we have a very good color copy. I have made copies of that
Oh, nice.
for all of you.
Oh,
And please
nice.
don't leave without one. And it has the stop list. All the names of the stops and all the stuff that I've been talking about.
I was going to say, is there going to be a
All
test?
tested, yes. And I especially like this picture that has, and this is what I've tried to get when I'm recording for church ensembles. Because if I get it just right, I can get the organ and some of the pipes across here. You know that all of us do our own, all the stuff you see on Sunday morning is done with our personal iPhones. That's it. That's how good, I'm saying this is a positive thing. That's how good iPhone cameras are. Yes, we all do our own.
And the music part, the sound part is also?
iPhone. It is.
Yeah.
And then Lydia puts the whole thing together, and Bill puts the music together. I send Lydia the prelude and postlude, but then I send Bill all the hymns and responses or anything else, and he adds the voices and other stuff to it. So it's a lot of work, but I'll just tell you, I'm so proud of what we've done.
Oh, me
It's
too. I
wonderful.
think you've been
look
great.
back at-
I think you've been great.
Bill said to me one day, he says, I listened to something from a year ago. We're at the point now where we are repeating some stuff, you know. And so one of us said, I think we recorded that a year ago. So Bill went back and listened to it, and he said, listen to it, you won't believe how much we've improved.
Yeah.
I mean, just everything about it.
Yeah.
And so periodically we go back and look at last year's and decide, nah, we're redoing that one.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me just give you, you guys pretty much know the history of the organ, and you know that the history of the church. That's also on here too. The first organ was given by Mrs. James Scoville in 1881, built by Johnson and Son in Westfield, Massachusetts. And then 1900, Kimball Organ Company in Chicago rebuilt it. And then in 1915, a new 4-manual Casavant was put in, less than a year before the building was. So it went down with the building.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was built in South Haven, Michigan. Casavant had a plant in Michigan. And then it was replaced by the Skinner organ that some of you remember. And part of the console is back there in the corner. We were going to try to use some of that for something to put the sound equipment in, and it just didn't work out. But that's kind of the history that you might want to.
Is that big desk type thing that came down from Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we thought it would work, and it doesn't. It's odd size or something.
Hutchinson's gave it back.
Yes.
Michael, if we had to replace this.
Oh, good question. You were asking at the perfect time. 2.2 million. I just got the figure last week. We're in the process of redoing insurance. Yeah, I was surprised because the last figure was 5 years ago, and it was 1.85, I think.
Worse than the roof.
Huh?
Worse than the roof.
Better than
Oh, the roof was 800,000.
That's why I say the organ costs
Oh,
more
the
than the
organ
roof.
cost. I'm thinking
Yes,
about the repairs.
yes, yes.
I'm thinking about the repairs. Yes, you're right.
Quite
But,
a bit.
I don't know.
But maybe we could save the wood.
You could save the wood.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is give you a tour, if you want it. It's up to you. 2 or 3 people at a time. What I'd like for you to do is go through this door, look to your left before you go into the hallway, and you'll see the organ blower, and you'll hear it. You can't miss it. And then go up and come out on this side, and just hang out under the trumpet stops, and about 2 or 3 at a time. If you want to walk inside and just look around, there's nothing in the part where you're walking into. There are no pipes, organ pipes that you could do any damage to. You could do some damage to yourself by tripping, but so be very careful if you do it. But it's just really interesting, and you will see a thing that's about that big. That is the computer, and there's one like it in here that does all this talking back and forth to make it work.
Mike, before we depart, I would just like to say thank you for this absolutely amazing discussion and so on. And I'd also like to mention to those assembled here that back in my days of active professional performing, I asked someone what the most difficult instrument was to play. And they said that there were two. One was the harp, because the harp goes out of tune, it has all of these pedals, etc. And to be able to play this and to get into the musicality is very difficult. But they said by far the organ was the most difficult. You could learn technically, but then to be able to put emotion beyond the technical. And you are the epitome of it.
Might be time for a council to review his salary, right?
I just have to tell you how much I love being here.
Well, we love having you.
And it's a wonderful instrument. The whole congregation has just been. This is one of the most appreciative congregations I know of, as far as appreciating what they have. I mean, not only instruments and people. I feel like the staff is appreciated and the instruments. That piano was just appraised at between 150 and 200,000. And it was built in 1898 and completely rebuilt at the Steinway factory in 1998, its 100th anniversary. And it's a jewel too. A new one like that is 200,000. And Jim Houston, who maintains it and has ever since it was rebuilt, now retired from Orchestra Hall, but he lives here in town, and he's the only person who touches it. And he said it would be worth at least 150,000, and some people would rather have this piano than a new one just built today. So that's the ballpark for that. So of course that means our insurance will probably go up.
Better to have the right insurance.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I know there are people out there looking, or working on it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And I can't help but say this. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir today. This is just, actually,
It is the
I
choir.
couldn't say that last night, but when you were all coming in, I thought, I just got to use that cliche. I'm preaching to the choir.
I will add one more little
Oh yeah, I'll let you
visual
guys
detail that you won't be able to see when you go under the organ, the pipes. There's a ladder that you can climb up to get up where you see most of those pipes. But then, when you get up there, you can look around and there are ladders. How many different levels?
I don't know because I've never been up there and I don't ever plan to go up there.
Well, I've been up there.
Yeah.
And it's like something out of Harry Potter. I don't know how many different levels of ladders. They're all over the place. Yeah, you can look up through the louvers. You
Yeah.
can see platforms. The pipes are not all just on one level.
Oh no, they're on at least 6 or 7 levels, I would guess.
Yes.
The one thing I want you to be sure is if you haven't done it, look up there and realize that what looks like a black wall is the 32-foot full-length pipes. And they're painted black. And then when we go in downstairs, look to your left, and the mouth of those pipes is like this high and this wide.
Do you plan to play duets all by yourself?
I forgot that. That's okay. Yes. So the recording thing, you know how that works. Yes, let's do that. I'll do that. There's another use. There's 3 uses for this recording thing. One that I just really love is I can play something and record it and then go out and listen to it, because the balance of the stops over here is not what it is out there. I mean, it's not bad, it's just different. And so what I balanced and made me think would work, then I get out there and I think, no, that's a little too loud, and I adjust. So that's just a great advantage to me. But there are 2 other things that'll benefit the congregation. If Bill goes out of town and I have to conduct the choir and we want to do an accompanied anthem, I will record the accompaniment and then just push a button and then walk over and conduct the choir, and the organ will play itself. And the thing is,
It's a Tesla.
we have to come in here and practice with it several times, because that organ isn't going to bend at all.
That's right, that's right.
Whatever I put in there is what it's going to play.
Michael, the choir never makes any mistakes.
Oh,
That was slow.
My question, is there any hard wire between this computer and that computer?
this, for that.
Oh, yeah, there are three.
Where's
Three
mine?
wire.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
That's
this is it.
That's it.
There, you can actually see here, but some of these are microphone cables. It's not just organ. The blue cable is the one that goes between the computers. And we put a plug over here so that we can plug it in here and have it there and there. And the other plug is right behind the organ. So the blue cable is that there are two power cables. One is for the organ, and the second one, I think maybe for the Zimbelstern or something. There was some reason why they had to do a second power cable. But it runs through all that area. I mean, it was very easy to put that in because you had the...
Got rid of all those
Got rid
wires.
of all these.
Yeah, right.
But that's what it is. It's
Thank you.
Ethernet cord, is that what it's called? Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
So nice to not be tripping over this bundle of
Yes,
wires.
yes. So I am saving this. This will go in the church archives. It really needs to.
Dan Petrini.
Yeah, oh, Dan knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we got a box to put it in. Did you find? Yeah. Susan found that for me one day because it really looked horrible. But no, I mean that is a treasure. I mean that's historical significance right there. It really is.
Just to be perverse, I don't think we had a label for our 100 years from now. That's
John, are you going to make a lamp out of that?
I just could not imagine all those white wires. That just blows my
How would they
mind.
know
Because when you look
anything
at the
about-
computer up there, you will see a bunch of these cables that go from there up to the pipes. And so those were already in. But what's changed is this wire that goes from here up to there. Okay, here's what the other way I can have fun with the organ besides putting it in the choir. I can't wait to do it one day when nobody's expecting it. Although I've
The Phantom of the organ.
That's about like it is
Get it
recorded.
started, sitting there, and they just kind of get up and walk away.
It was a perfect entrance,
Yeah.
very dramatic.
Yeah.